I lost the use of my hands for 15 years, from about 88 through to 2003. It was actually a contact dermatitis, and an allergy to glycerin was the end thing that I found. But it took me a long time to find that, and the doctors couldn't help me. In fact, they started diagnosing things that actually made it worse. The late 80s was the real breaking my hands open every day. I used to have to lean on the bed when I woke up to just even get motion. I couldn't close my fingers.
Painkiller morning, my hands ache. I'll have to break them open today.
So I was already losing guitar playing, and I was losing touch.
Can't sign my name.
I couldn't hold anything, there were cracks all over my hands.
Can't stir my car.
And that was then compounded by going into corporate life, which began to pull me away from music and writing and all the things that I did. And I was doing chemistry and began to suffer quite bad subconscious stress. It began to stop me sleeping. I began to get very bad migraine headaches at the time. My stomach was always feeling sick, always, and it was the flight reaction was happening, but I wasn't admitting it to myself. So it manifested itself as very acid stomach and headaches, and so I was always seemed to be taking painkillers. Painkillers and antacids, those two things together, which one's acidic and one's basic, so they were always like reacting with each other. that's by the by. So Painkiller Morning emerged. As always, it's just from the chords, like that descending BAG thing.
Painkiller morning, my guts say.
It's a definite homage to Penny Royal Tea by Nirvana. Kurt Cobain was always had to take antacids. That was one of the things that he spoke about and sang about. What I realised was, as painful as my hands had been in the 80s, they were actually slightly better by the time I wrote the song, and I couldn't remember how bad they'd been.
And I can't remember the days when my hands cracked and flaked and peeled.
I could look at it and say, oh, I remember when they were like this, but I couldn't remember what it was like.
Times when the lines on my palm were written and I'd changed.
There's an introversion to songwriting where I have to drift. I have to not be present. I have to tap into whatever's bubbling here. And so I think, actually it's a physical thing. I think sitting here, staring at the wall, I've got all these places that I can go that isn't my head. Just this last little while, just songs have been tumbling out, just in this spot. There's writing a song, there's discovering a song. And I think the reason those get prized when they do just pop out and they're done, it's because your subconscious has done all the work, and that's, I think, a spiritual sensation, whether you're religious or not.
I'll have to break them open.
When your subconscious has churned it out and done it, then you feel like it's not you. It's because it doesn't feel like conscious thought. I think that's why people prize those songs, and I do when they come, when the song lands and it's just like, wow, that came from somewhere.
Painkiller day today.
I think there's discovering, there's writing, and the craft and the work of honing it.
When my hands cracked and flaked.
There's a difference between the song you write, the song you start to record, and the song then that you own, which is when bands used to go out and tour records before they recorded them, which feels like a different time. That's what they did. They were putting it into the muscle memory.
And I changed.
You know, the Bryan Adams thing, played it till my fingers bled. My fingers bled every time I picked up a guitar. So I couldn't make bar chords because this finger would have cracks all over it, and so literally where they were touching the strings would be like slicing me. So I used to play, and I still do, a lot of drone strings, a lot of chords that are, as the whole guitar's sounding, but only certain notes are fretted. So the BAG came from that sliding thing. And now my hands have been good for 10 years, 11 years. It really is just, I can't remember. I can't remember the pain, and in a way that's a blessing. It's kind of, we can survive past stuff, and it does become a past, and it does become part of your experience, and it does become who you are now, but it doesn't have to define who you are now, which I think is ultimately why I still like it as a song, because otherwise it could be one of those miserable, angsty, teenage, rare songs, which I'm not into.